So today I'll talk about verse 2 of the 8 verses of thought transformation, which is all about how to transform our thoughts, our mind, from being self-centered and having anger and other afflictive states of mind to being more altruistic, more loving and compassionate. So verse 2 says, "Whenever I am with others, I will practice seeing myself as the lowest of all, and from the very depths of my heart, I will respectfully hold others as supreme." So when we first hear that or read that, we might get a big shock. What? I'm the lowest of all? I have to think I am lower than everybody else? That includes so and so and so and so, these people who do awful things like Hitler and Stalin, and present day people who are really corrupt and killing lots of people, making war. I have to think I'm lower than them and they're better than me. So it is kind of shocking to think that way. But we have to understand it correctly. And also, one thing we need to be careful about is because many people, especially in the West, have a tendency to have self-loathing and self-criticalness and low self-esteem. And so if you have a habitual tendency like that, and you're already thinking, you're horrible, you're bad, then this verse might seem to confirm that. It's like, yeah, I always thought I was lousy, and now this verse is telling me it's true. I am lousy. I'm the worst one of all. So it's not about that. So really be careful about that. This is not confirming our self-hatred. The real meaning of this verse is to lessen pride or arrogance and learn to be more humble and, genuinely respect others. So in Buddhism, sometimes it's called pride, but maybe arrogance is a better translation. So that particular state of mind is one of the root afflictions. And an affliction is a state of mind that, messes up our mind. It's disturbed. It disturbs our mind. It doesn't see things in a realistic way, and it leads to suffering and problems. And so we could think, for example, of times when we saw somebody who appeared to be arrogant. Yeah, we've probably all had that kind of experience, being around someone who's, it's hard to know what's really going on in someone else's mind, but just by the way a person acts, their body language, facial expression, the way they talk to people, treat people, you kind of get this feeling of arrogance there. And we probably don't feel very good about that. I don't think it's a respectful or respectable quality that we see in others, that we admire people for being arrogant. I think it's more like we think, yeah, but then if we're honest with ourselves, we can probably see it in ourselves. I think everybody has it to a certain degree, even if we hide it very well. But, it's that state of mind that feels, I am better than. It could be one other person or it could be a whole bunch of people. But it's a feeling of being superior. And it could be about your intelligence, your knowledge, your skills, your talents, your life experience, your physical body, how attractive you are, how big your muscles are, whatever. It can be about just about anything, even in Dharma. So even in the context of Dharma, we might take pride in our knowledge and in our experience, how many retreats we've done, how many courses we've taken, and so on. And so, it can creep up in almost any kind of context. And it's good to really examine that state of mind. And what is it like? Does it feel good? Does it feel right? How does it affect our interaction with others? Because it can lead us to be not very nice to other people, not very respectful, treat people in, demeaning ways. And it's also an obstacle in the learning and practicing of Dharma, because it could come up with our teachers. For example, if we have a tendency to, put people down and feel we are better, that could happen even with a teacher. There might be a teacher who, say, comes from another culture, another nationality, and we may feel that maybe some little bit of racism might come in there, or maybe that person's mannerisms, way of doing things, we feel, isn't so great. And so we might have a feeling of pride and arrogance about a teacher. And that, the effect that it has, is that it kind of closes our mind. It makes our mind very narrow, or even completely closed to learning from that person. And in fact, that person may have incredible qualities, incredible knowledge that we could learn so much from and benefit from. But with pride, we're closing that possibility off, we're closing our mind to them. And so we can't learn. And they even say in the teachings that having pride is like the peak of a mountain, whereas having humility is like the valley below. So when the rain falls, it hits the high mountain, and then it just rolls down and gathers in the valley below. So you don't have much growing on the top of a mountain, but down in the valley you have lots of crops and, nice fruits and veggies and so on. So in a similar way, if our mind has pride, then the teachings, the Dharma nectar of the teachings hits our mind, but doesn't stay. It just rolls right off. And on the other hand, if we have humility, that attitude of humility is very open, receptive, and the teachings will gather, will collect, and will enable our mind to gain knowledge and good qualities and realizations. So humility is a much better state of mind. But we need to check that for ourselves. So there's probably times in our life when we had pride and arrogance, and other times when we had humility. So we can look at our own experiences and see which state of mind is better. So that's what this verse is really all about. It's how to have less pride, arrogance, and how to have more humility. So how we can do that, one way is to, instead of paying attention to people's faults, mistakes, shortcomings, ways in which we may think they're inferior to us, which could be true in some cases. Some people may have less knowledge than we do. But we don't need to focus on that. Instead, we can focus on good qualities they have, good things they do, and admire them for that. Rejoice in that. So I'll give an example that's related to Christmas, which is coming up very soon, like tomorrow. So just the other day, I read an article on the Good News Network, which I love. Every day they send you these really nice stories. And there was a story of this, he was actually a boy in Oklahoma. When he was just in the 5th grade, 11 years old, he came to know that some of his classmates didn't have presents under their Christmas tree like he did, because he lives in a town where there's quite a high rate of poverty. So some families just couldn't afford to buy toys for their kids. And he felt really sad about that. And he talked to his mother, and they started a toy drive. I guess she had a Facebook account, so she put it on her Facebook page and asked for donations of toys. And they got lots and lots of toys. And then they gave them away to the children whose parents couldn't afford to buy them. And so they've been doing this every year since then. That was like 6 years ago. And now I think he's 17 or so, and he's already in university in another part of the state. But every Christmas he comes home, and he and his mother and probably other family members and friends do this toy drive. And this year they have like 10,000 toys. So there was a photo of him with this masses of toys all around him, the big smile on his face. So it's just really beautiful. And I thought, wow, at such a young age, when I think of myself at that age, I wouldn't have thought of such a thing. It takes quite a bit of courage and self-confidence to do something like that. So so I really rejoiced in that. And we can find in any person, we can find good things that they are doing or have done, or good qualities that they have, and then rejoice in that and feel admiration and respect for them for that. So that's one way to have more respect. And another way is to think about how we are the recipients of the kindness of others. So that's another whole meditation, but I think everyone here is quite familiar with that. It's part of the morning motivation, just to think about how everything we have, everything we enjoy, including our very body, our very life, comes from others. We're completely dependent on others for everything. That's true for this life, also our past lives, and will be true in our future lives as well, all the way up to enlightenment. We are dependent on others, recipients of the kindness of others. So the more we contemplate that and get familiar with that, I think that also really opens up our hearts to others and appreciates others. And then, there's kind of no place in the mind for pride and arrogance. So that's really what this verse is all about, is reducing pride, arrogance, and increasing humility, appreciation, and gratitude for others. And we also need to understand there's a difference between pride and self-confidence. Self-confidence is something we really need in the Dharma, in the spiritual path. We need to believe in ourselves. We need to believe that we can do it. Yeah, even becoming enlightened. I mean, that takes huge self-confidence to think I can totally transform myself and become a Buddha. And so we need that. We need that state of mind that believes in ourselves, that has confidence in ourselves, believes in our abilities and our potential. But that's not the same as pride. Pride is more when we think we're better than others. And so that's something to watch out for, and work on cultivating greater humility. Thank you.